DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. Today we're going to have a great show. We're going to talk about the presidential pardon turkeys, Corn and Cob. And then Dr. Koltes is going to join us so that we can learn more about the turkey industry and all the things that go into putting that bird on your kitchen table.
As dependable as the sunrise, in dairy parlors, open pastures, on ranches and feed yards across America, a place where reputation is more than a name, where the science of healthier animals is a way of life. It's the responsibility that drives who we are and what we do. Every decision, every day. It's your livelihood and our responsibility.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Profusion Drench for beef cattle, a no prescription, no needle supplement. To learn more, go to zenpro.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to DocTalk. We're going to have a fun episode today. We're going to talk about corn and cob, the presidential pardon turkeys. And corn and cob, they were the last turkeys to be pardoned. I hear there's a lot of turkeys being pardoned in Washington, D.C. these days, but these two are actually birds. And as we start to think about the traditions we have in agriculture, and you think about forestry and taking the Christmas tree to DC, and you think about pardoning the turkeys around Thanksgiving and the holidays and to the end of the season, as we head from all the work from putting things into the field and feeding our animals until we get to that point of harvest, this really is a celebration on a national and international level. So, corn and cob were two birds that were raised in Walcott, Iowa by Ron and Susie Cardell. They're sixth-generation turkey producers here in the state of Iowa, and Ron serves as the president of the National Turkey Federation. So, whoever is the president of the National Turkey Federation, they get to raise the presidential flock for that year. So Ron and Susie were raising the presidential flock at their turkey farm over in eastern Iowa. From that point in time, they start to go through a sift, and they bring the turkeys in and they bring them out of that flock into a smaller room, and they got to about 30 head of turkeys, toms, where they looked at and they discussed behavior, and they discussed some of the things that were they going to be able to stand on the table when they got to DC and things of that nature. And they settled on corn and cob, and they wound up getting there to the White House for the celebration. So once the turkeys are selected, we had a send-off in eastern Iowa. And from that send-off, the two got a customized ride in the back of an excursion from eastern Iowa to Washington, D.C., where they were then put up in their own hotel room across the street from the White House. So corn and cob got their own hotel room for the night. They had a red carpet to walk into the hotel. Once they then had a good night's sleep, the next day was the pardoning, where they were then taken across the street to the White House into the Rose Garden. Once they were at the Rose Garden, one of the turkeys, Corn, was then pardoned by President Trump. After that, they jumped in the excursion and they were transported right back here to Ames, Iowa, where now they are housed for their natural life here at Iowa State University. And it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot about the turkey industry, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about turkeys and how they're raised here on DocTalk. Hey folks, Dr. Dan here. Welcome to Cattle First, as sponsored by Beringer Ingelheim Vet Medica. And the term today, biosecurity. Biosecurity is security. It's like having a bouncer that keeps pathogens out and keeps disease out of your herd. One of the best tools you can use for biosecurity is a proper vaccination program, and work with your veterinarian on that. The second one is introduction of new animals. And when we bring new animals on the farm, making sure that if there's a disease that is important that we test for, that we have that done prior to bringing them on the premise. And if they haven't been, then we have a place to quarantine them until we can get the diagnostics back, I think is vitally important. Talking to your neighbors as cattle lean across the fence and communicate with each other, making sure that you have a community-wide biosecurity plan and vaccination plan, vitally important. Keep the disease out, be the bouncer.
Beef Teaching Farm is a place where producers,
entrepreneurs,
faculty,
innovators,
consumers,
and most of all, our students
have an opportunity to learn.
We strive for excellence in the beef business and provide an environment for others to engage in production agriculture.
Through teaching, advocacy, and hands-on instruction,
we can grow the next generation of beef producers.
We are
the
Iowa State University Beef Teaching Farm.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need, from prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson here at Iowa State University, and I am joined by Dr. Dawn Koltes. And Dr. Koltes is an expert in all things poultry, and she is really an expert for us in both chicken, broiler and egg laying, and in turkeys. And so she's been involved. We have a big building project here at Iowa State. We're going to put in a new brooder and a new finish unit, grow out unit. I'm starting to get my turkey terminology better.
You'll get there.
But Dr. Koltes is the one that's really driving the bus on a lot of this. And so I asked her to come out and spend some time with us. And Dawn, you know, when we talk about turkey production, what are some of the interesting things that come to your mind? Just maybe not so much specifically, but about what's different about Iowa turkey production than maybe some of the other states.
Well, something that I find really interesting and fascinating about the Iowa turkey industry is that here in Iowa, we actually grow a lot of toms. So toms would be like corn and cob. They are both male. So unlike many of our other sectors of the livestock industry where males and females are generally together, except when you don't want the beef to breed or dairy cattle.
Right.
I will go back and say that those aren't always together. But most of our broilers are male and female together. Well, with the turkey industry, males are separated from females. And so here in this state, we grow males. Well, as you can tell, a male turkey is a very large bird. And we don't put those in the oven, right? I mean, you're not looking for a 25, 30 pound turkey when you're thinking of Thanksgiving. So our birds are actually going towards that post-processing. When you go to Subway or Jimmy John's, you're likely getting an Iowa bird. When you get Jimmy Dean's sausages that are turkey sausages, those are from turkeys that are toms, and most of those may be coming also from Iowa. So not all of them, because we are actually the 7th producer of turkeys Fifth, in processing. So we actually will produce not as many as we process, but we will process some from Minnesota, South Dakota, Missouri, areas that actually do have a lot of processing. So we'll have a lot of birds that we process, and those will go towards secondary products.
Absolutely, and I thought it was really interesting that folks, you know, if you're raising toms, they're going to go towards processing and sliced meats and deli meats and sausage and different processes like that. And then if you're looking for the one that's going to go on the table, you're talking about the hens.
Correct.
And those are going to be raised, and they're smaller and they fit in your oven. And so something that I learned about turkeys. You know, when we start to think about turkey production, you know, is it as corporate? Are there co-ops? How's it kind of structured compared to like the beef industry?
So you will have some of the contract growing, which means that you have a company such as Tyson or Cargill or Jennie-O who will contract out and say, we will buy your turkeys. And a lot of times with those, they'll have a little bit more regulation in terms of how those turkeys are grown. And then you'll have some others that are more independent, where it's an independent farmer who has been doing this potentially for generations and generations, like we have here in Iowa, and they will sell to a more local co-op, such as West Liberty Foods.
Yep, we've had just great relationships with Tyson and West Liberty Foods, both here in the state of Iowa, and they have done a lot for Iowa State University. And you know, the more we can be engaged with the industry, the better our research is, the better our teaching is, and that's really our job, is to serve those industries. We're going to take a break here in just a minute, but as we you know, with the turkey industry, is it a vibrant industry? Is it growing? Is it something that we see positive traction moving forward?
With the turkey industry, it's kind of at a plateau right now. However, I see that it is an industry that could have a lot of potential. And that's the exciting part. There's a lot of people that are understanding that they consume turkey in a lot of different ways other than that Thanksgiving turkey or that turkey sandwich. So we're finding a lot of other uses, and maybe it's not other uses like we've not known about them, we're just rediscovering them again. And so I really like that. As someone who is more of an amateur chef and cook at home, I really like to rediscover a lot of aspects and recipes, and I think this is something that we will learn about turkeys as we go along, or at least my personal journey has.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a break. My favorite right now that I've discovered is the turkey tenderloin. So look for some of those in the grocery store. We're here at DocTalk. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Producers know stress costs money. It puts their cattle at greater risk of illness and can be a substantial drain on animal performance. That's why ZenPro developed ProFusion Drench for beef cattle. Formulated with ZenPro's patented trace mineral technology, ProFusion Drench is a no-script, no-needle performance supplement, proven to rapidly replenish essential nutrients lost during times of stress. For optimal results, use ProFusion Drench with ZenPro Performance Minerals in feed as part of a complete nutrition program. To learn more, go to zenpro.com.
The state of Iowa and Iowa State University are proud to host the 2021 Beef Improvement Federation Annual Research Symposium and Convention. The convention will be located in downtown Des Moines with easy access to the airport, hotels, and local restaurants. Iowa State University is just north with its research and teaching farms. Join us in Iowa and experience how Iowa provides the beef industry with innovation to application.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need, from prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. We're here talking turkey. At Iowa State University, I have Dr. Dawn Koltes, who is an assistant professor here at Iowa State University. She is an expert in all things turkey, broilers as well, but we're really lucky to have her on our faculty and teaching our students and leading our programs on the poultry side. But Dawn, let's, you know, like we talked during the break, people don't understand or probably aren't really involved in turkey production like we are with beef and different things to that dairy. So let's just start from the egg and go to the table.
Absolutely. So unlike a lot of the species you mentioned, there is a gestation period where a sow or a cow is actually allowing that individual to grow. With a turkey, that's quite a bit different. We actually have fertilization of the egg that's going to occur inside the hen, but once she lays that eggs, and the commercial side, it's all up to us after that. So we are the ones that are the caregivers. We are the ones that are collecting those eggs. We're putting them into an incubator. And so with a turkey, those eggs will incubate for 28 days. So when we talk about broilers, it's 21 days. So we add an additional 7 days on. And so they will go into an incubator and then a hatching cabinet where once they are hatched, then we will process those chicks. So usually what that's going to mean is that we're going to look at vaccinations, any debeaking or despurring that will go along. Sexing a turkey, I don't know if you're familiar with it. You don't necessarily sex poultry like you would a cow or a pig, right, where you would look at the underside to look for external genitalia. Turkeys don't have that.
Right.
Hens don't have that either. So we actually have to vent sex. So the vent is the opening or that exterior opening, and we have specialized groups of people that actually come in and vent sex. They get paid a lot of money and they don't tell you how they do it. It's quite a system.
Some things I don't need to know.
I have to say they get paid pretty good for that knowledge, and
That's awesome.
It's amazing to see how many chicks they can go through. So after hatch, chicks will get, or poults will get sent. And so I'll use chicks and poults interchangeably a little bit, but that just means an immature individual. So that smaller individual, one that needs a little bit more care. So these poults will then arrive on farm where they are placed in brooding houses. And these brooding houses are generally much smaller than our grower finisher houses. And the reason for that? Well, our poults don't hold body temperature as well. So they need a little bit of help, sort of like that piglet, right?
Yep.
We put warming lamps on a piglet to help it maintain body.
Kind of like the nursery and grower before we take them to the finisher.
Right. Pigs don't have brown adipose tissue, which I find absolutely fascinating and a whole nother topic. But with poults, we have to provide that heat. And so we're trying to keep them at 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So they do well between 90 and 95. So we're trying to keep them really nice and warm, and keeping that space smaller helps with that. So we'll start them out in a smaller area until they get fairly well established at about 5 to 6 weeks of age. And at that point, they're about the size of your chicken. So they're about 5 to 6 pounds.
At 5 to 6 weeks of age, they're about the size of a finished broiler.
Yes.
It's just amazing.
So they start out at about 130 grams at hatch, and they'll make it to that size.
So then, after they spend the 5 or 6 weeks in the brooder, they're going to the grow out?
Right. And so in this area, they'll get a lot more space to kind of interact and move around. And they'll usually we'll drop that temperature down. So we're starting at 75 or so down to about 56. So they have a lot more comfortable range.
How many birds are there in a barn usually?
Around 20,000 or so.
That's amazing. Great.
Yeah.
So then how long will they be in that grow out facility?
So they will be in that facility probably another 10 to 12 weeks.
Awesome. And the toms finish at 42, 44 pounds?
Yes, they do. They finish between 40 and 45 pounds.
That's a big bird. And when you start to think about this happening in 19 weeks, it's just absolutely amazing. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up here talking turkey with Dr. Don Koltes here at Iowa State University. Thanks for joining us. The state of Iowa and Iowa State University are proud to host the 2021 Beef Improvement Federation Annual Research Symposium and Convention. The convention will be located in downtown Des Moines with easy access to the airport, hotels, and local restaurants. Iowa State University is just north with its research and teaching farms. Join us in Iowa and experience how Iowa provides the beef industry with innovation to application.
ValleyVet.com is your one-stop shop for your every animal need. From prescription meds, vaccines, equipment, and more for the ranch to the show ring. Shop ValleyVet.com for fast shipping and great prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Don Koltes. We're at Iowa State University with the world's two most famous turkeys, Corn and Cob, where Corn was pardoned by President Trump here the day before Thanksgiving and now resides at Iowa State University for both of their natural lives. And so if you want to come visit, we have a beautiful exhibit here in Ames, Iowa, out on State Avenue, and this will be open to the public. Go to our website for the Department of Animal Science, and you'll be able to see the schedule of when this facility will be open. You won't only learn about turkeys, these two turkeys, and be able to see them, take your picture with them, but you'll be able to learn about the turkey industry on so many things that we have around the room here for you and your family. So, talk to us about some of the questions you get when people come visit.
Well, first of all, they usually go, which one's corn and which one's cob? Yes, I know, gentlemen, it's hard, right? You don't like to be not distinguishable, but they're actually fairly distinguishable from each other. So our taller turkey is actually corn, and our smaller turkey is Tom. And now that I'm standing right beside them, it's a little bit harder. But
no, this is corn
and cob. And one of the other things is when the public came in, one of the questions that we received quite a bit was, wow, their heads look considerably different than what I anticipated, right? It wasn't what they see when they have that cartoon drawing. And so what is going on? So the entire head region is what we would call a carnacle. It's because of the kind of bumpy portions that are on the head. But the flap of skin that actually hangs over the beak is called a snood. And so turkeys are unique in that they are probably one of the species that has the longest snood, if you will. And so the females will actually have it. It's really short. But the rationale for why they have it is more or less that it is a secondary sex characteristic. And so it apparently is very attractive to a female turkey.
I was amazed when they first got here, because when they go to get a drink, that thing will shrink down to that long, and then it'll roll out like a trunk on an elephant. So it's a snood.
A snood.
All right.
It's kind of a fun word to say. The other was kind of, why is there a darker spot in the middle of their chest? Well, that's a beard. And this is something also, again, a secondary sex characteristic of males. So males will have these, and you know, it's actually kind of a prized possession, I hear, in the turkey hunting world, right? So if you go and you hunt turkeys and you get a turkey, sometimes you'll hang that beard as part of the trophy. And so they will have that.
And one of the things I learned about turkeys is, why do they have white feathers and we see the natural turkeys having dark? We actually bred them to be this way because people didn't want the dark pigments on the skin of the turkey. So if they have dark feathers, when you pluck the feathers, you get a dark pigment, and it made it less appealing. So we bred the turkeys to be white so that they would have a better appeal when you cook your bird for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, same with a lot of our other poultry species.
Yep.
Why we like white eggs, why we like white birds, those types of things. The other question that we often get, or that we have come to us, is, wow, these are definitely a lot bigger than that turkey that I see walking across my backyard. Why is that? Do you inject them with hormones and steroids? And the answer is absolutely not. It is 100% illegal to give them steroids or hormones in order to get them to this size. Any poultry species. And so I guess I want to give you a little public service announcement. If you're buying meat and you're buying it because it says it's hormone free and steroid free, you're paying for somebody to write that text. That's really it. So
they all, boy, he's puffing up.
He is.
You know, when you think about the birds and the size, the genetics of turkeys, the phenomenon over the years and the decades, even here at Iowa State and beyond, has just been phenomenal.
It is. It's from a genetic aspect, when you can have 2 generations per year, you can make a lot of progress. So unlike some of our other species, like dairy cattle, it's closer to 8 years. Beef, I'm sure, is fairly close to that. So you can make a lot of progress when you can get a couple of generations in every year.
It's awesome. So let's wrap up. What are some of the things that you enjoy about teaching about turkeys? And you know, we have a few potential students out there that need to come and learn in your new facility, and a world-class facility at that.
Absolutely. You know, it's fascinating. There's always some little nuance to every species and every animal. I've worked with quite a few species, and you know, there's a lot of personalities. And turkeys definitely have a personality that you won't get anywhere else. As you can see, they like to come up, and these are ones that like to come up and are interested in what's going on. So it's phenomenal.
It's awesome
to work with them.
Well, we're so glad you're here at Iowa State. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for watching today. Remember, always work with your local veterinarian, and if you want to know more about what we do on DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Don Koltes. We're at Iowa State University with Corn and Cob, the presidential pardon turkeys, and we'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Profusion Drench for beef cattle, a no prescription, no needle supplement. To learn more, go to zenpro.com. DocTalk was brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.